For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Hey, everybody. Welcome on in. Adrian Denny with you on your Tuesday here on Mammoth Daily. Thanks for tuning in wherever you're getting us today on Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page where you can watch us. You can watch us as well on Mammoth Plus and SEG Plus. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. We're with you Monday through Friday. New episodes dropping at 4:45 a.m. And share us. The more the merrier here on Mammoth Daily. I am Adrian Denny, your radio host on Hockey Night in Utah. Mike Fulta, our radio play-by-play announcer, will be along shortly with his morning after. Well, it was a good game. You could tell it right off the hop. Two good teams, two good goaltenders, first and second in the NHL, going at it in Karel Vejmelka with 25 wins, Andrei Vasilevsky now with 23 wins. Didn't see a goal for the first 37 plus minutes of the game. Didn't see a 5-on-5 goal in the entire game. Two high scoring teams coming in. Mammoth, 4 more and 5-7. Tampa Bay, over 4 goals a game in January. Both teams had identical 9-1-1 records in January entering the game. Tampa Bay had their 15-game unbeaten streak snapped on Saturday in Columbus. Utah had their 9-game unbeaten streak snapped last night against Tampa Bay. Again, you could tell it was two really good teams. We'll talk about it, how similar it was to some of the games Utah's played against Colorado. There's NHL teams and there's NHL plus teams. And the Mammoth have a week of NHL plus, and we'll break it all down coming up here on Mammoth Daily. Head coach André Tourigny will give us his thoughts on the game. We'll hear from Ian Cole on matching up against teams like Tampa Bay. Our Tuesday mailbag, we'll cover some fun stuff. We'll help a fan pick out a jersey. We'll give him some recommendations. We've got a fun question on the Delta Center from Sam. Are the Mammoth in the middle of some of these trade talks? We'll give you the real and inside story on that coming up on our Tuesday mailbag. And we have a question on the power play. So stay tuned for that. And then in our third period, we'll break down Florida. It's coming up tonight, 5 o'clock, right here. You'll have it. Hockey Night in Utah on the radio, 4 o'clock with the pregame coverage on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. But let's get it from Mike Fulta. He called all the action from Tampa Bay on Monday night. And here he is with his thoughts on the contest.
Wrapping things up here on Mike's Morning After. We are high atop what used to be Amalie Arena, what is now, and I have to look at the logo every time I read it because I'm not used to saying it, Benchmark International Arena. Ugh, doesn't really roll off the tongue there. But 2-0 loss. You can see on the scoreboard behind me, the Mammoth dropped this one to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and so the win streak, the point streak, that all comes to an end, and you kind of got to hit the reset button in quick order because Mammoth are playing again on what it's going to be Tuesday night against the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, who have some guys back healthy. So that's going to be a great challenge. But tonight, played a really good game. And you look at the 5-on-5 numbers, Mammoth were the better team in a lot of those regards, created more scoring chances at 5-on-5 than Tampa did. But to me, and to everybody, I mean, to the world, it comes down to the details and the 2 power play goals. Like that, that's the difference in the game. Tonight is not a game where you look at a loss and you tinker with things. And you're like, oh, we need to change this, we need to change that. Tonight's a game you lost, and it's as we would have expected it to be. If Tampa plays well, and if Utah plays well, this game will be decided in the margins, and the margins are special teams and goaltending. Utah's goaltending was great. I thought Veggie was really good tonight. Maybe a rebound here or there that, you know, you could talk to a goalie expert about. I'm not confident enough to doubt the rebound control to tonight's game. I thought he was really good. Vasilevsky was amazing. And was in prime Andrei Vasilevsky form. He was rested, did not play in the team's last game. So he continues to roll and has won now 12 of 13. So you're playing a red hot goalie who is ready to go and in peak form. You're playing against a Tampa team that is beat up. They're missing some guys. They don't have Hedman. They don't have McDonough. They don't have Point. But still that championship pedigree with John Cooper and the guys they do have is a formidable roster with Hagel and Gensel and Kucherov. Oh my gosh, all the young guys that they've been able to plug in. Still a really good team, and when you play equal at 5-on-5 or you can't score at 5-on-5, then it comes down to special teams and goaltending. And the goaltending I thought was even, and then the special teams was not. The Mammoth penalty kill is now, kind of in a bit of a rough stretch here. And I think the biggest story, or the bigger story than the penalty kill, is just staying out of the box. You grab a guy here, you are a little undisciplined with your stick there, you get called for that trip, and then boom, you're staring down Nikita Kucherov, who's probably the best power play player in the NHL right now, and he orchestrated that first goal for Tampa Bay. So, and the Mammoth have the fourth worst power play in the league, and so it's a weakness for Utah. It has been this year, and I thought there were some really good chances created on the power play, but you don't convert, and so you leave yourself vulnerable to get beat by a small margin to a good team. So that's the story of the night. Really liked Utah's game. Was talking with some Tampa people out here in the hall, and they were saying the same thing. They were saying, "Wow, you guys have a good team," and they're not saying it in a condescending way at all, but they know what a good team looks like because they see it every night with the Lightning and have for many years now. And so when you hear that, it feels good, a little consolation prize for us broadcasters to get that compliment of your team. Hey, you guys are really good. And that's what I heard out here in the hallway. So I don't have like that, kind of disgusted loser feeling sometimes you get when you lose a game and you play bad. I thought we played really well tonight, got beat, and hockey's a game where a red hot goalie is, can win you a game or beat you. And tonight it beat Utah. Even though Veggie was good, Vasilevsky was a little bit better, and that power play for Tampa, it's middle of the league, like not crazy percentage wise, but that was the difference tonight. So time to reload and continue the road trip. And you won the most important game of the road trip already against Nashville. You played really well here tonight. Mammoth keep playing like this, gonna be just fine. Gonna be just fine against Florida. Gonna be just fine against Carolina. Gonna be just fine the rest of the year if they play like they did tonight against the other teams left on the schedule.
It's one of those games where you're watching it, you're making your own observations, you're gathering your own thoughts, and then after the game, you're wondering, wonder what Bear thought of that game, right? We're at the point now, year and a half with Bear, we watch games like he does, right? So we're on the same page, but let's get his thoughts on the game, the way Utah came out, being mentally ready to match Tampa Bay. There's teams like St. Louis, and there's teams like Seattle, and there's teams like Dallas, and there's teams like Tampa Bay, and there's teams like Florida, who Utah will see tonight, and there's Carolina, and there's Colorado. It's NHL plus. It's different. You're at a different level when you beat those teams, and you got to perform at a different level to be in a position to beat those teams. Let's hear from head coach André Tourigny after the contest on Monday.
We played a really good game, especially at 5-on-5. I think it's a team on the other side who's really stingy. They don't give anything. And if you look at the chance we create, the expected goal in about every phase, is really happy about our 5-on-5 play. And same defensively. It's a team who lead the league in about everything offensively, and we did a really good job. Unfortunately, 2 minutes timely penalties. Not just we got in the box, it's the timing of when we got in the box, and I think that cost us the game. The guys were focused, they were urgent, I'm happy about their focus in the game. I think, like I said, that team on the other side for the last 2 months, they dominated everybody, and we arrived here in their building, and we played a good game at 5-on-5, and I think I'm happy about what the guys did. I'm not happy about the result, obviously. I would have loved to have a little bit more opportunistic offensively, but they're a good goalie.
They do have a good goalie. Dylan Guenther hitting a pipe in the final minute of the first period. Michael Carcone on the odd man rush. Pushed it right off the shoulder of Vasilevsky, trying to go over it. Clayton Keller, I think he was trying to go 5-hole off the left pad of Vasilevsky on the breakaway in the third period. Tampa Bay, a good defensive team. They blocked 20 shots in that game. Their goalie stopped 28 of 28. They're the second best defensive team in the NHL, and there's a different brand of hockey when you're playing a team like Tampa Bay, the NHL plus hockey that I'm talking about right now. Bear talked about, expected goals, fate maybe in that game. MoneyPuck.com had Utah at a 62.3% on the deserve to win a meter. They had the Mammoth with 4.64 expected goals to Tampa Bay's 3.39. That shows the goaltending performance in the contest. Melk only allows 2 power play goals, stops 27 of 29. Andrei Vasilevsky stops all 28. Dylan Guenther, his expected goal rate in that game was 0.94. Nick Schmaltz, 0.78. Michael Carcone, 0.61. So the chances were there. You come out, you play a team like Tampa Bay, second best offense in the NHL behind only Colorado, and you look at the 3 games you've played on the road, at Colorado twice, at Tampa Bay, and against Colorado on the road, you've allowed 2 goals, and you've allowed 1 goal, and you allowed 2 goals to Tampa Bay, and you've allowed 3 5-on-5 goals in those 3 games against the top 2 scoring teams in the NHL, which takes a game plan and it takes execution defensively. And going back to last year, we've seen Utah play some really tight defensive hockey, and we've seen them lose some games like this. And it's easy to get so dialed in defensively that you're just not generating offense. And I don't think it was that way on Monday night. I don't think it was that way the game before Christmas against Colorado. Maybe the first game of the year. Yeah. But you look at those 3 games that you've lost to Colorado twice on the road and Tampa Bay on the road, and expected goals in the game, you're either above or pretty even with both of those teams. So generating chances, now it's just a matter of burying those chances as you play these NHL plus teams with NHL plus goaltenders. So we've seen Utah lose 1-0 in Colorado, 2-1 in Colorado, 2-0 at Tampa. And for me, it's a lot like that next step that André Tourigny's talked about, Daniil But scoring goals in the NHL. You got to learn to score against NHL goalies. And for Utah, that next step is scoring against NHL plus teams and NHL plus goalies, because you're getting offensive chances, you're getting good looks. They're making big saves. It's the next step. And you look at Tampa Bay, a team that's made the playoffs in 11 to 12 years. Colorado's made the playoffs every year since 2017, 2018. Those teams have been conducting their business for a while. Defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, they speak for themselves. Coming up tonight, that's going to be another big one for the Mammoth. So when you're on a stretch right now, you're on a stretch like this of 8-1-1 in the last 10. You got to just make sure you keep doing the same thing every night with your process, with your details. Tampa Bay went into Columbus on Saturday, had their 15-game unbeaten streak snapped. They lost 8-4. Backup goalies in there. Could tell they missed some details, just a little off. Head coach John Cooper said Monday after morning skate, no team's going to go 82-0. And you have games like that where you lose your details. For the Mammoth, you're going in on a back-to-back. We'll see what the lineup changes are, if any, right? Earlier in the season, head coach André Tourigny made a point that when they insert a fresh body or two into the lineup on a back-to-back, they were able to gather points in about 70% of those games versus if they didn't. So we'll see if we see Liam O'Brien pop in. You've got Oli Mata. You've got Cameron Hebig on the call-up. Would not expect him to make his NHL debut tonight, but that's it's an option that Utah has in their back pocket. But inserting a body or two on a back-to-back can really add some energy, can add a spark. We saw it in the Winnipeg game that Utah beat 3-2 against the Jets back on October 27th. So, expect a lineup change or two. It's just the way that Utah's operated. But you're playing Florida, Sergei Bobrovsky, the goalie tonight. So stick with the details. But, at some point along the line, we'll see. Hopefully it's not tonight. Hopefully it's not Thursday in Carolina. Hopefully it's not the final 6 games, any of them, going into the Olympic break. But there's always going to be a game there where you lose your details, you don't have it, and the game gets away from you when you're playing some pretty good hockey. You would have loved the result on Monday because you played it good enough. You got that power play in the third. After the power play looked pretty good in the first 2 chances in the second period, 5 shots, with 4 minutes and a 4-minute and 14-second stretch on the power play. Couldn't score. Tampa scored a couple times. So it's one thing right now that we've seen cost the Mammoth a game or two is special teams. It was on a night where we didn't see any 5-on-5 goals in Tampa Bay on Monday night. Let's hear from Ian Cole after the game, what he said in terms of just the Mammoth matching up against Tampa Bay, teams like Florida, Carolina, and how they did in the first test on Monday.
They're a team that's been playing great hockey. They have great structure, but also highly skilled. And that's, a similar style to how we want to play. We want to have great structure. We want to take away time and space. We want to be able to get in guys' way, get pucks back. They do the same thing. So it was a good game. Obviously, they're a good team. They capitalized on a couple chances. We did not capitalize on a couple of our chances, and that's the way it goes. But I think in terms of our mentality and our approach was another good step for us. I mean, like I said, we're trying to take away time and space, trying to get over guys. We're trying to take away their options, and we know what they like to do, and we were able to kind of shut down a lot of that. Again, they're a good hockey team. They're highly skilled. They make a ton of great plays, so they got a lot of great players. It's going to be impossible to shut them down completely, but I think overall we did a pretty good job. And like I said, it's the margins are very thin in terms of what wins you a game or not. And unfortunately, it didn't go our way tonight. But I think if we do that, if we play a similar game, we'll win a lot of hockey games going forward.
I've said it. Ian Cole's one of those guys. If you don't want the answer, don't ask the question, because he's always going to be honest. He's always going to be straightforward. There's been games where he's been like, we need to figure this out fast, and it wasn't a game like that. I know you wanted the win. Bear said happy with the game, not happy with the result. Quick turnaround, doesn't get any easier in Florida coming up this evening. Here on Mammoth Daily, we've got our Tuesday Mailbag coming up. Mike and I, our favorite segment of the week, we take your questions. So that is coming up next. And then our third period, we'll take a look at tonight's game with the Florida Panthers and the matchup with them. So stay close with us, folks. We're just getting started on our Tuesday Mailbag edition right here on Mammoth Daily.
It's time for the Tuesday Mailbag.
That time of the week again, it's time for our Tuesday Mailbag. Here we've got submissions from all across the herd, all across Mammoth Nation. AD, are we calling it the herd? Heard that here and there. Hasn't caught on per se, but I kind of like it. Submissions coming in from the herd of Mammi, plural of mammoth, as we all know.
I like it. The herd, Mammoth Nation, got a couple that have stuck. Let's stay with the herd for a Tuesday, Mike.
Let's do it. What do we got?
Let's go to letter number 1 coming in. Here's a fun one. It's from Dylan. He says, all right, I've got a question. Whose jersey do I get? I'm new to hockey, and I'm loving being a fan of the Mammoth and learning about hockey. I'm tempted to get a Gunther or a Cooley jersey. They're the future and offensive monsters. But then a Tanev or O'Brien jersey could be fun. And, of course, a Veggie jersey would be cool. how do I decide, Mike? I went to some experts, Mike. I thought, I thought maybe we could use a little help on this one. So let's see if we can help Dylan out right here. All right, we got a couple experts to help us answer this mailbag question today. I've got Jack and I've got Vivian. Jack, whose jersey should he get?
JJ Peterka, he's my favorite player.
What about you, Vivian?
I think Dylan Guenther, because he's got the best shot in the league.
Oh, Vivian, best shot in the league. Wow, great work, guys. Uncle Adrian asking the hard-hitting questions. That is fantastic. Jack and Vivian, good to see you guys. Happy birthday to Vivian from the other week. And that's fun. That's very good. Peterka and Guenther, two very good answers. See a lot of those jerseys. AD, who was your first hockey jersey? Do you remember?
Do you know what, Mike? I don't have anything personalized. I've never had a personalized jersey. I've just always kind of been the team gear guy. What about you?
I'm not a huge jersey guy, but I remember the first hockey jersey with a name on the back I ever got was it was given to me as a gift. It was Mike Urizioni's Team USA jersey. So it was a 21 Captain C Team USA jersey. And then in college, when I in college would order the fake jerseys from somewhere overseas, and I had a Blues Ryan Reeves jersey. So I had the jersey of one of the fighters. That was what I gravitated towards. So those are the ones that I remember. And a couple Christmases ago, I was working with the minor league affiliate of the Blackhawks, and I was gifted a Connor Bedard jersey. So that's been hanging up in my kind of like deep in the closet. Haven't really broken that out. Not really planning to, but I do possess it. So I have more Mammoth jerseys now. They all say my last name on it because they were gifted by our boss Craig. But yeah, that's kind of my collection.
I say the same thing too. Every jersey I have that's personalized is mine. Got a personalized one from the Roadrunners for my fifth season with them. They gave me one. I've got a Utah Hockey Club black jersey. Got the Salt White Mammoth jersey. I might lean with Vivian though, Mike. I think I'd go with a Dylan Guenther if I was buying one.
Yeah.
You look at the last month though. I guarantee you, Mike, we've had some Carconi jerseys flying off the shelves. Monday, when the team store opened, there were some Yamamotos, of course, Veggie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can go wrong. I like what he said about Tanev and O'Brien. Like, what's better than wearing a jersey of a fighter when they're out there just throwing the rights and the lefts, and you got the jersey on.
I applaud the Mammoth team store for the variety of jerseys, because you walk into some team stores in a building and they might only have 4 or 5 guys. For a while, I think is still the case. There's a lot of names up there to choose from, and so you can kind of get a little flavor of the week, as you like to say, Adrian. Pick your poison for that night.
All right, good luck, Dylan. Let us know what you went with and if we were any help. Jack is a huge JJ Peterka fan. He cannot wait to watch Team Germany at the Olympics with JJ and Leon Draisaitl, and Vivian's been with Guenther since first time she saw him play. Let's go to letter number 2 here on our Tuesday mailbag. Mike comes to us from our good friend Nate. He says, Yamamoto's biggest fan here, as you guys know. He says, I've been singing the praises of Kyler all season. Talked about him yesterday. It was our top story on the Monday morning power play. And he says he reminds me of what Kerfoot brings to the team. He says, when Cooley and Kerfoot come back from injury, I want to see Tanev or O'Brien sit instead of Kyler. He says, question, Mike, wanting to know about trades in terms of the Mammoth. What do you think? He says, I haven't heard Utah brought up in any of the big trade talks around the league. I'm hearing the Stars and the Wild are going to be big buyers because they're in the win now mode. So names like Artemi Panarin are getting thrown around, and Utah isn't ever brought up. And I'm kind of wondering why. Mike, I'll take this one to start. I'd love to answer that. Number one, Mike, loose lips sink ships. I don't know that you ever hear the Mammoth tied to a particular rumor. You hear them tied to teams that are going to go out and be aggressive and take big swings, but didn't hear anything with Peterka. We all knew Peterka was a player that was potentially on the move this offseason. Never heard anything about Sergachev. Those are the big trades. Bill Armstrong and his team go about their business. And I know for a fact that Bill Armstrong does not like leaks. And I think that's the organization that you've got here. You're not going to hear about stuff externally with all the control of Bill and his team. They don't like stuff getting out there. As I said, as simple as it is, loose lips sink ships. But we all know that Bill's involved in everything and has his hand on the pulse. And when a trade is made and Utah's not doing it, Bill has cashed out in some way along the road in terms of that. But that's why I say you don't hear Utah tied to specific players and names, because the Mammoth don't like that. They don't want to be out there. They want to conduct their business internally and make an announcement when there's an announcement to make.
You think back to the trades that Bill has made while the team's been in Utah, and there has been absolutely no build up to that trade. They have all come seemingly out of the blue. Now, obviously, there was a lot of work that went into it behind the scenes, but to your point, Adrian, there's been no shred of evidence, no trail of breadcrumbs to follow to Bill Armstrong getting Sergachev or Marino or even Olimata last year or JJ Peterka. There was really nothing in that sphere. We have heard from Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman. I was just listening to their podcast 32 Thoughts, which is a fantastic podcast for hockey fans. If you have not listened to 32 Thoughts, highly recommend it. But they're about halfway through the January 26th episode, and Utah got brought up rather pointedly, not tied to any specific players, Adrian, but just what you said, a team that's looking to make a big swing. Utah has a lot of assets, a great prospect pipeline. ESPN ranked, or one of the ESPN writers ranked Utah's prospect line as the third best in the NHL back in a November article. Ton of draft picks. You have multiple second-round picks for next year and more draft picks beyond that. You have that and an owner who wants to be aggressive and see his new team in the playoffs in owner and governor Ryan Smith. So expecting Utah to be a player, don't have any specific ties. And also, Adrian, the Mammoth are winning right now. So how much do you really want to rock the boat with a trade if the team's winning? Now, the flip side of that is, you can reward your team by adding a piece, going out and adding a piece and kind of showing your team like, all right, we believe in you. You've played well to this point. Here's a guy that can help us win. But, I was just joking about the movie Miracle, talking about the Miracle on Ice. There's that scene. Herb Brooks gets called in front of the bus by some of the team leaders, and they say, this is the family we want to go to Lake Placid with. And so there's a little bit of that too, where you don't want to break up the family, break up the chemistry that's been building over the last few months, and now the Mammoth are reaping the benefits. And if you keep winning like this, Adrian, which Mammoth are not going to win every game, but if you keep winning like this, what do you really need to add at this point?
And as we've said, you've got Cooley and Kerfoot, who are going to be your essential trade acquisitions when you get them back to the lineup, and it's so huge. But great question, Nate. You see it around hockey. You see rumors about a lot of specific teams, and some teams like Utah are quiet because they keep things to the vest. But Mike, I do know when Bill became an NHL GM for the first time, having been on the ground when it happened, there was specific language, there was specific memos, there was specific directives about leaks and keeping stuff on the inside. But great question, Nate.
One more thing, Nate. Look around the league. Almost everybody is still in the fight here in January. There's only a couple teams that are really kind of like, okay, we're out of it. You think of Calgary, you think of Vancouver. Both have made moves. Columbus, Ottawa slipping away a little bit. I'm just going off the top. I don't have the standings in front of me. Who else? Rangers are falling behind. But there aren't as many teams as usual that are in selling positions right now compared to what we've seen in the last year or so. A lot of teams might be more reluctant to sell pieces when they think like, hey, we could sneak a wild card spot here. So keep that in mind too, that it's a little bit more of a buyer's market. I guess in favor, it's more of a seller's market because there's more buyers. But there's certainly more buyers than sellers at this point in the season than what maybe we would have expected or what we've seen in past years.
Mike, in the Eastern Conference, Florida, Toronto, Washington, New Jersey, all out of the playoff picture right now. Those were playoff teams last year, so that's another reason why you're not, those are teams that expect to be in the playoffs that aren't in the playoff picture, so they're still
built to win.
Still going.
Built to win teams.
Yeah. All right, you want to do a video question, Mike?
Yeah.
Let's hear from Sam checking in here on Mammoth Daily and our Tuesday Mailbag.
Mikey, AD, I know I've been throwing some fastballs at you the last couple weeks. Why is the power play struggling? What do we think about the fourth line? Lots of X's and O's. This one, I'm going in a totally different direction. We need to come to a consensus here. Is it Delta Center or the Delta Center? I feel like, when Mikey's saying, hey, get on down to the Delta Center, are we doing Delta Center or the Delta Center? I think Maddie, Dom, Nick, Sarah, Kim, you guys, anyone, fans, need to pick one, and we all need to pull in the same direction for Delta Center or the Delta Center. When I was a kid, we were always going to the Delta Center. I feel like people are doing one or the other here, and we all need to sort of get on the same page for Delta Center or the Delta Center. What do you guys think?
I think we settle this on Mammoth Daily, Mike, once and for all. I say we go with the Delta Center, Mike, and stay with it. What do you think?
I think Sam picked it for us. He said he grew up saying the Delta Center, so it is. The thes have it. We are now like the Ohio State University. It is the Delta Center.
Glad he asked, Mike, because that's all it took. Mammoth Daily can handle this for everybody.
No such thing as a bad question.
Let's go with the Delta Center. Any questions on that? Folks can direct them straight to us, Mike, here, and we'll answer it on the Tuesday Mailbag. You want to take one more, Mike? Let's go into some more X's and O's. Dark Knight Rises checks in. He says, last week, I saw Trevor Zegras skate high on the power play, crisscross with Jamie Drysdale, and toss the puck towards the net. Do you think Clayton Keller has a similar skill set to do the same on the power play? He says, by the way, Kels has been lights out 5-on-5. The way he moves, his effort, his passing. Wow. That was a good power play sequence by Philly on Wednesday night, Mike, as they took the 3-0 lead in the first minute of the second period. Here it is for the folks on YouTube to watch what Dark Knight Rises is referencing there. There is Drysdale, the switchback, and or that was Zegras, the switchback and throwing it to the net. But thought that was a good question there with the crisscross. Those two guys, Mike. Mammoth power play entered the week, 2 for the last 3, but there's another look.
Yeah, thanks for the submission, Dark Knight Rises. Hope Idaho is getting more snow than Utah is. Is the question, 80? I couldn't see it pop up there. Is it Does Zegras have a similar skill set as Keller? Is that the one to get to?
Yeah, he's just asking about kind of the crisscross and the toss to the net there, as you saw those guys doing it. Absolutely, it's definitely something that you could throw out there and have work. No reason not to. If you're talking about Clayton Keller's skill, just tell him what you want, and I think he'll be able to handle it, Mike.
Well, I mean, I think both are incredibly skilled with the puck. They're incredibly skilled puck handlers. Both have elite hands on them. Both smaller guys. The big difference is that Trevor Zegras is playing center for Anaheim. People didn't necessarily think that he would be playing center, or for Philly. Sorry, but some people think he should have moved to wing, whatever. Well, he's having a really good season playing center. So more 200-foot responsibility there for Trevor Zegras. This was on a Philly podcast I heard when they were in town, just doing some opposition research. But one of the Flyers fans had dug into how many centermen are as slight as Trevor Zegras is. He's not a big guy. I think they list him at let's see here. They list him at 6 foot, 185 pounds. Pretty comparable to Clayton Keller in size. Keller is a little shorter, but still in that like 180-pound range. And the Philly fans were complaining that Zegras gets bumped off the puck a little bit too much, which I think is a valid complaint. But again, he's having a career year. So I do think there are some similarities in their game. I think Zegras is a bit more of a scorer, whereas Keller he typically looks to pass first. And we've seen that a ton here in the month of January. I think it's 14 assists throughout the month of January so far for Clayton Keller as we record this on Monday afternoon. But I see similarities in their game. Obviously, some differences. Both Americans, both with a ton of skill. I think Zegras is a little bit more known, at least for his shot, but he's never had anywhere close to the production that Keller has had the last couple of years.
And Keller, Mike, throwing the puck to the net in January, leading the team in shots on goal, in addition to all of the primary assists that he's picked up. So we've definitely seen an emphasis there with Clayton Keller firing the puck to the net. As they entered the road trip, you could tell looking at the stats that he's firing the puck too.
Yeah, and I think when this Utah power play is at its best, I think Keller's shooting the puck a lot, because you see a lot of shots come from Dylan Guenther's left circle. You'll see Sergachev shoot it a reasonable amount as well. But the puck kind of goes around, right? The play starts with Keller. He orchestrates it. He can go down low. They can create a chance there, try and create a 2-on-1, depending on how the penalty kill is playing. Or they can kind of go up top to Sergachev and across to Guenther. But I think when Keller forces teams to respect him as a shooting threat on that right circle, that's when I get the most excited on the power play for this team.
All right, folks, there's your Tuesday mailbag. If you submitted a question and we didn't get to it, there's some questions that come in that require some additional research and some additional folks that we need answers from. So couple answers there and a couple questions that we're doing some research on with the players and want to get some of their feedback as well. So thanks everybody for checking in on our Tuesday mailbag. As always, throughout the week, leave comments in YouTube, 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a 5-star rating and then ask your question in your comment. And of course on Twitter and Instagram when Mike checks his Instagram. So maybe Twitter's best for Mike, at Mike_Folta on Twitter. If you want to roll the dice, at Mikey Folta. For me, it's at 801 Adrian Denny. Anywhere you go on social media that I'm involved. I'm not on Facebook and I'm not on LinkedIn, but everywhere else.
I'm getting better at Facebook, AD. I'm trying to learn. I've infiltrated one of the fan groups on Facebook, and Facebook's just too much. Like, it's too much. There's no, like, the timeline is brutal. Twitter to me is just like cut and dry. It's got information. It's got news. Like Facebook is a mess to me. I don't understand it, which is funny because that's what everybody used for a long time. And I kind of came of age like right when Instagram was taking over. And I wasn't even like allowed to have a Facebook when it was cool, like when I was, 12 or something like that. And then by the time I did have social media, none of my friends used Facebook. And so I'm kind of left in the dust in that regard.
Sure.
But so yeah, if you reach out to me on Facebook, there's it'll look like a shooting percentage. There's a shooting percentage chance that puck goes in. My Facebook is like Karel Vejmelka in January. It's like a 920 save percentage. Like less than 1 in 1 in 20 shots is getting into my inbox and I'm seeing it. But yeah, Twitter's always the best. So
yeah, hit us up and love to take your questions. Great stuff, Mike. Fun stuff on the jersey, on the Delta Center. We settled that once and for all. Talking power play and great stuff, Mike. Got a third period coming up as we roll on here on this Tuesday. Coming right back on Mammoth Daily.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Fun questions as always. Keep those questions coming all week long, folks. YouTube comments, 5-star rating on Apple. You can leave us a 5-star review with a question, or on Twitter and Instagram. Keep them coming. We'll answer as many as we can. We'll go to the experts as we did today in one instance, and we're still efforting some other questions that have come in throughout the last couple of weeks, but send them in, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can on Mammoth Daily. All right, Florida Panthers opposition tonight. Mammoth have never beaten them. However, after losing at the Delta Center on January 8th, 2025 to Florida, Utah went in there, lost in overtime on March 28th, one night after losing to Tampa Bay 8-0 last March. So second straight year, Utah's going into Florida on the back-to-back from Tampa. But last time, took them to overtime. That was a quick reset after losing a game 8-0. The challenge here tonight, a quick reset after not giving up a 5-on-5 goal in a game that was 1-0 going into the final minute. So they lost that game on March 28th in overtime. At the Delta Center in December, lost that game in the last minute, 4-3 to the Panthers. So played them tight, 2 straight games. Now it's like Tampa. It's like Dallas was, never beating them at home. Big challenge, beat them. And, it's going to be another tough, heavy, physical matchup. You're going to want to try and be as disciplined as possible, but there's going to be penalties when you're playing, heavy, physical teams like Florida. So trying to stay as disciplined as possible and see what you can come away with, and see if you can grind out a 5-on-5 goal or 2. Sergei Bobrovsky this year, save percentage under 900. The 2-time Stanley Cup championship goaltender. Numbers are down a little bit. See if Utah can catch him, but there's always going to be the night where he stops 45 straight. So expect Vitek Vanacek for the Mammoth, the team he won the Stanley Cup with last year. Florida Panthers, him and Nate Schmidt got their rings in December. And it's a Florida team that got Brad Marchand back after missing 7 straight games over the weekend with an injury. So that's big. He had a big game-winning goal for him over the weekend. You get Matthew Tkachuk back last week after he missed the first 47 games. They're still without their captain, Alexander Barkov, but they've undergone lots of injuries. But as we saw in December, still the same identity for the Panthers. 28-20-3. They are 4 points out of a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference behind Boston and Montreal. So that going into the Four Nations face-off break, they want to try and get above that playoff line. As we told you on Hockey Night in Utah on Monday night, 14 of the 16 teams in playoff positions at the Four Nations face-off break last year made the playoffs. Vancouver and Detroit, the only 2 teams that dropped out. So another 5 o'clock face-off, 4 o'clock Hockey Night in Utah, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, KSL Sports app at 7 p.m. on the radio in Salt Lake City. We will be on the AM only on AM 1280 as Jazz pregame starts against the Clippers. So programming note there, 97.5 and 1280, the KSL Sports Zone from 4 to 7. And on the KSL Sports app throughout at 7 o'clock, we'll be on the AM only on the radio for Hockey Night in Utah. So thanks for joining us. Another fun episode. As always, looking forward to tonight. Coming up on tomorrow's episode, in our Wednesday Odd Man Rush, Tej Aginla will join us. Utah's first ever draft pick. He's killing it in the Western Hockey League with Kelowna. We'll get an update from Tej. He's been watching the Mammoth. He had that fun World Juniors tournament where he was with Caleb Denoye and Cole Beaudoin, two other top Utah draft picks, playing on the world stage. So talk all about that with Tej Aginla coming up on your Wednesday edition of Mammoth Daily.